morning, all of you. So let me just thank you for coming in the morning at 8:30. You must be wondering, why should we come at 8 o'clock or 8:30 for an assignment or a project due at the end of the year. You are never used to that. Maybe end of the month when you have a term, last 2 terms, but then we do something across and then you finish it, you get the assignment. So again, he said, why should we come for 1 year ahead for something which we are doing 31st December 2020? Then we have even not thought of what we should do in February 2020. So I have a very good reason. Now firstly, it's your enemy, not ours. And secondly, you need to complete it. And you cannot complete it unless you have the final project. And the final projects carry 7 times more than the weightage of a coursework. And there is a more specific reason which I thought would be interesting to you, why you should be here. I was just thinking this early in the morning when I was traveling. There was some reason. To look back for the previous year, we have been doing a sort of a restructuring process for the last 3 years. And then Dr. Samantha is here in the faculty and he has been very instrumental in trying to get this across along with me to come into this. There was some sort of a sanity and process. If 2% failed in final projects, you don't get failed fortunately in your coursework because our faculty is very generous of you. Question of failure doesn't arise. And only 6% gained over 85%. Now remember, you need to have 86 marks if you are a merit student along with coursework. On the other hand, if your course average is around 85, 85.2 or around 85, getting a project mark around 87, 88 would push you to the merit range. So there's a good reason if you are in above 85, you are not at 86. So to see that you have a correct choice of a project and do well. Third reason is, it's important, 13% last year did not submit the project report, which means they have not come to the convocation, they are not in the MBA. So they are revisiting back again with you for 2018 batch. So the procedures have been very clearly identified now and being more stricter and we are enforcing like in any other university in the world. And more important, 22% has to redo their project. That's purely because we didn't want to students to be penalized. And then we thought that we had certain shortcomings within us in the faculty. Students were saying that we didn't have many contact hours, we were not exposed, we didn't know so and so said so, so and so said so. So I was chairing all the sessions, I was listening to the students and I think Samantha was with me and others were with faculty. And we decided let's give them a chance, taking the blame to our side and allow them to redo and resubmit, but which means you only have a marginal pass. Then 30% only obtain around 62, 62, 65, which pulls down to average. In fact, there were students who came and met me, my whole average is out, can't you do something? So we can't do anything once you come to the Viva and once you release marks. We can do anything before that. Now you would see why it's important you to be here in January 2020 in order to do this task at the end of December 2020. In fact, we have done several changes to see that you are not penalized. One of the major changes done in your coursework in 2018 batch is restructuring of MBA 511 research method course. We accepted it is a coursework which would give exposure to all projects. You have already seen Dr. Samantha, you have seen Mr. Champal, you have seen Sakuntala, you have seen Dr. Chan and Japadi. The last 3 sessions, 4 sessions was focused on that. While giving sufficient skills in research, understanding a framework, understanding and identifying a problem which is the key to all the projects, and doing a decent literature review, and in some of the areas we focused in the first 5 parts of the sessions. So this is nothing new to you. But unfortunately last year, when I addressed the students in April 2020, it's not in January, everything was new to them. So we rectified that mistake by redoing the MBA 511. And we have now taken the step to introduce the final year projects 1 year early, which allows you sufficient time to think what you need to do. And we want to get in the first quarter, January, February, March, a proposal preparation. Each of your faculty supervisors who has been identified much early, you can work with them and prepare for the proposal. Because proposal is due on 20th of April. There is no deadline changes. I remember last year when I was in the same deadlines, someone in the left, I think in the MBA group said, we hardly have any time, can you extend by 1 week? That email came to me around April 16. So I said, no, we told you about more than in January, so why April? So therefore, take it seriously. And we need to have, another introduction is to have compulsory workshops in term 3 and 4. Each of your faculty supervisors will give you a course outline. Will ask you to attend these workshops, which is compulsory. But when I say compulsory, you have to come, because I remember can't come to you. So if you don't come, the word compulsory is meaningless. And it has happened this year to nearly 20% of the students. In the first quarter, July, September, nearly 20 to 25% of the students designated for the individual projects did not come. So they were in the usual mode, you can't do one night job. So one night job you can't do. So we are not accepting their project proposals for December 31st submission. Minimum 5 months are required, and if you are absent in the workshops, your supervisor has the right to inform us is absent, and then you will not be permitted to. So you could see the few things which I said now will make you understand the importance of selecting a right project, correct option, work with supervisor, and then you need not rush at the end of the year. The whole purpose of this exercise is that, and we have also opened up the MBA 519 in January, which is the overall course which allows you to communicate with emails, which I know you don't like. You will send anytime when you see my name coming into the visit box, because you are never used to email from other faculties as an exercise, Dr. Saman from Sakuntala. Others are very nice to you, they don't talk too much. But you can see that you will be harassed with emails. Well, I keep reminding, that's for future reference. Because when you come back, probably I may still share, but this time I am sharing. I have the reason to say, we have told you, I cannot accept. That's the family decision. So we keep you alerting, we keep you telling, we keep you advising. But any advice is up to you to follow. So I'm not discouraging you in the early morning with a pessimistic voice, which you may say, so the purpose of this session is firstly to get you introduced into the projects and also to talk about the MBA 519. And each of you, I will first introduce this in the first 45 minutes, which are clear terms and conditions and which is a link from the professor's way forward. We gave a very overall description, what PIA, what projects are. Now this is linked with that. We are now translating that procedure in that particular process into a set of procedures, targets and objectives. And then I know by now you should have selected your project, what you want to do. Then you have the option of meeting your project supervisors, talking to them, and then working on your project proposal. You have 3 months time and you don't have to rush, but you can work along with. So that's the basic outline. Now we did the first change year ago because of the accreditation requirements of change in the final project options. We are looking in 3 different ways. One is how do we translate knowledge. Second and more important thing is business oriented problem solving, which allows you to build conceptual, interpersonal and technical skills. So you have 2 core areas, knowledge translation and problem solving. So you can see there's a basis for what we are doing, and what you are looking at is what did you really learn in the last 2 years. We can't, the supervisor can't teach you back again what you learned. The supervisor would expect you to apply what you learned. So therefore it's a revision, integration, rethinking and applying of the work you do. And that's what PI in MBA will be critically of difference to any other MBA. It's not an assignment, it's not a report, it is a simulation of knowledge, and a project would demonstrate your capacity to apply knowledge in an industry or to transfer knowledge to a research. So that's the basic focus. On to the course itself, you have 20% marks for the proposal submission. Please note, no extension for April 20th submission. You can submit early, don't have mitigating circumstances, don't say you fell ill, don't say that mother-in-law, or we have so many in-laws and so many people who are respectable, they have difficulties. Please say that you submit much more early, and you will have a case-based examination open to which carries 80%. But main purpose of this project is, coursework is to say that we support you right throughout for completing your project on time. Now to the approaches to final project before we do, we'll take up the final project options. Please go through carefully and align with what the director said. I have reclaimed on this one. So we have management research thesis. I will be going to each of these options, its conditions, what we should do in detail. That is 20 credits. Then you have the research projects, skills projects, entrepreneurship projects, and case study, 15 marks. And we have management field study, 2 options. One is on problem solving approach, which carries 15 credits with a reading elective, and also you have a survey. Don't get confused with the industry survey given in your brochure. That's different. That's MBA 535, I think, which carries 12,000 samples. I'll go in detail. They are only field project options, and anyone taking field project option should go for the reading elective, which is offered at the end of the third term. Welcome Dr. Jayakochi, and then we have Ravi and Sakuntala, who would be your project supervisors, and their presence is very much appreciated because they would be taking you through across your project. So let's work into the reason, the difference we are trying to create through our MBA. We believe that the MBA or the business schools today need to focus on how we create value in organizations. You could see the current government approach of more and more towards customer interfaces, and then how do we really resolve problems. So main 3 areas in this is value creations in a financial terms can come from value added, or we call it as wealth created in organizations. You could also transfer value creation in terms of strategic problem solving, which affects your stakeholders. And that's key to you. That's what we are really focusing on. What are your issues in the organizations? And secondly, we need to see how it offers a particularly effective lens to value creation. One of you are senior managers or managers in organizations. You have a number of meetings that are taking place. All these meetings, if you collect together, all are on problems. So select the problem, identify the problems, analyze the problems, and then see how we could create value in organizations. That's the core basis of our projects, which you are transferring to. It's not research that has been very important to us. It's important, but in a different segment. With your complete managers being here much more in industry, we need to focus on industry-related applications and problems. So therefore, some field project options becomes extremely important in value creation. So you need to first identify a problem, which you have already got the exposure in the MBA 511. We had 2 sessions mainly on problem identification. Then you need to see what are the theoretical framework on which you can look at the problem. I think Sakuntala would be working on this, and Dr. Jayakochi would be working on that, and even Dr. Samantha would be working on that, looking through a theoretical lens. That's the added knowledge, comes in line with research. How do we see a problem, and how do we look at a problem from a theoretical perspective? Just a simple slight introduction to this is given in your MBA 511. And then let's say how do we classify and identify the problem in problem identification and then analysis. So there are three key areas which we'll go through in all project options over there. And we begin first problem identification and then select a problem which can generate a significant value. So whenever you come to, which I'll leave later on, projects like skills and field project, why should we solve the problem? What significant value can it create? This is one of the key steps. And then what are the processes that we can do to identify the problem? And then selection of the problem which will ultimately create develop two solutions. So this will come in your first three project approaches, and then of course analytical problem solving. All this would have been exposed to you during your coursework in different courses. Now we are trying to bring what did you learn, and this is something what we want you to do, so that you become different from any other MBA offered in Sri Lanka. So where do we begin in this? First part is you can't solve all the problems in the organization, which will be dealt in detail later on with your supervisors. You can't deal the entire problem or the profitability. What part of a problem can you solve within the scope given to the 6 months? And then how will you create value to the affected groups? And what are the costs on basis? So something very significant we are looking at, how much it will cost. That's what your CEO does. If you have a problem, what is your solution? How can you do it? How much it costs? Simple three answers to begin with. And then how will you sustain your solution? So what I've just said very briefly is we are shifting towards projects which are based on value creation. We are shifting this approach because we want our MBAs to be different when they get to the industry, because they can identify a problem, they can analyze a problem, they can support solutions, and they can give something very feasible to the management. That's how the industry works. So key difference in our MBA would be through this problem solving and value creation. A study that we are trying to do right across some countries, and Dr. Samantha and myself is working on this, and basically we are very confident that this is the approach for the future, both public sector and the public sector. Now value creation projects are based on MSP, MFP and ESP. So those who are selecting this option goes more into understanding business problems or understanding customer related problems in creating or designing their projects under skills, field studies or entrepreneurship. So the small introduction I gave, which will go in detail with your project supervisors, is how these three become the basis of value creation in your projects. So to get into what we have done last year, now you can see how the implementers have changed. The same address I did last year, this time you are in a better position. 85% or 83% selected management skills and management field projects. And we are starting from 20th tomorrow, assessing what they have done. And then we had clearly Dr. Jayapadi and Ms. Sakuntala on the two project options, and Mr. Champal de Costa and Dr. Trice on the entrepreneurship projects. So they form one important basis and a harm in getting across. And you could see there are 10% on ESP, which is on the business cases, solving customer related problems. So which means in total, you have 93% of the projects goes to the value creation option. I don't find any reason for it to differ even this year. I believe it will be almost in the same lines. And the other two are both on MRP and managing case studies, which has got shifted to the research. I'll explain on that basis a little later once I finalize it. So just to summarize, we are focusing on value creation. We believe value creation can create a definite difference in our competitive edge as an MBA and can create wealth in organizations. Therefore, we have designed 3 different project options where you do the final project based on the enormous amount of learnings that you had in the 2 years, translating into practice and applying it to knowledge in the form of these 3 project options. So in the next half an hour, I will go through these 3 options very quickly and tell you what are the conditions, what should be done, and how you should select such project options. So we begin with management skills project. Sakuntala would be the project supervisor, and we have specified there should be at least 25 in the company, and there must be permission from the company to carry out the project. Don't come and tell us, well, my company is not allowing. I have a company somewhere else and I'm going to do the skills project. It's like trying to tell, I can't solve any problems in my house. I have gone to my neighbor and trying to help his husband to solve their problems. Well, if the husband gives permission, I don't mind. That was a written permission. But you can know that it's quite difficult to go to some other's house and solve their problems. But we are not eliminating it, provided you have written undertaking that you have access to that organization. That is very remote. So don't attend that. That's the first condition. And also don't come with, there are 5 people in this, and therefore I'm trying to do a skill project, which is just a small scale work, what you're happening in a boutique also. That's not what you're looking. You need something concrete, which can add value. So select your own organization, select your KPIs and work across on that. You can be expected to do full implementation, but in the event you can't do, some project components only can be completed, but then of course your final evaluation also will come down into that level. So detail is available in the evaluation forms. When you visit the site, it has all details. So if you do only 30% evaluation, then the project also will have appropriate allocation of marks for implementation part of the project. And basically, you should look at an organization-specific issue and clear problem description with evidence. We are very disappointed and sometimes very frustrated when people can't describe the problem. That's the reason why MBA 511 was changed, and the first 2 sessions Dr. Lakshmi was focusing on problem description. We need the problem, we need to describe the problem. You must tell what the problem means. What is the impact of this problem to the organization, of your stakeholders, and why should we solve this problem? So this is very important, and it should not be nothing difficult for you with having gone through all the coursework. And then you must say, what is the value creation by doing this job? That's the important part. And then we have also an extension to the skills project as entrepreneurial development. You could still select an entrepreneur, doesn't go to these big projects, who has a turnover over 500,000 a month. It's not a small boutique or something like that, but it's a fairly established business, where you can help him to improve the business through a skills project. There are very few. The last time we had about I think 1 or 2, previously 2, and you could work. But the condition is 500,000 minimum revenue per month. And there's a need. Say some of the entrepreneurs may require business solutions, may require a business model, may require certain productivity improvement done, may require certain layout changes done. All to facilitate this. You would have learned this across more operations management over there. So I would ask, who should do management skills project? Must, if you are a senior manager of the company, because that's your job. Most of the time, students come to me and ask, so I can't find a problem. That's the whole problem. That's the biggest problem. Finding a problem is a problem. So I used to ask only one question. Just tell me for a moment, why are you paid for in the organization? What's your job? How much you are paid? Why? So you must be paying for something. No? So that's your KPI. And if you can't identify that problem, somebody will identify you as a problem and you won't be in the job very soon after. So therefore, look at what you are expected to do and why you are not in a position to do. And some of you are authorized to do it. You have the particular responsibility as well as the budget allocations for you. So you are a marketing manager. You can see certain areas in which that you are weak. You want to implement entirely a new marketing strategy. You have the budget for it. Use the skills for it. Those who do not have the budget but can see the problem will move into the other option of field budget, which is recommendation and showing a presentation to management. So the condition here is take people who have a KPI, and those who can do and those who enjoy doing that, and you have to implement and show. So that's the basis of skills project. a problem, value creation, you can do it, you have the budget, implement and show. Second one very quickly is the field project. Is very similar to the scale project. Only difference is you only take the role of a manager who sees the problem and says the organization what they should do. So here you don't implement. But remember, you have to give something implementable. You can't come and give the recommendation as you do in your regular assignments, which are very sort of sets of dreams that are put across which nobody will accept. Last time we had field projects asking for a budget something like 50 million in some cases. Nobody will do that. Be realistic, get a budget which the company want to do, take the part of the problem and then tell this is very important to the company. And the companies would like to hear. And we see a lot of overseas projects on MLP understanding the problem and analyzing the problem and then saying this is the way to solve it. And you have to bring out evidence and supportive budgets in order to say how the project can be done. It's a presentation to your CEO. This is the problem the company is facing. This is what I propose to do. This is how much it will cost. This is how I want it to implement. That's all. I mean, in the MBA, you should be able to do that. Otherwise, what have been talking to you for 2 years in these classrooms? Remember, organizations are not interested in your models. No organization will ask you to show us what is your strategic canvas, or what's your Porter's 5 process model, or a very important organizational behavior model for it to work. They are not interested in that. They are interested how I can use it if you want to, but what can you do? So that's a knowledge for your theoretical understanding, which differs you from others. But practicing managers requires to give solutions to problems which can create value. In the last few days, you can see how the president moves across. He's looking at all the customer interface areas and says, solve the problem. So how do you solve the problem? I think someone has been working with the public sector. He has lined up fairly a set of projects which has been resolved. We are also now looking at customs who are having about nearly 30-40 projects which are again on this format of how to resolve problems related which will affect customers. So you have to have, only difference here is you still have to have, like in scale projects, a theoretical framework for the study. Problem seen, problem described, problem analyzed, and a theoretical framework developed. So Dr. Dan would be dealing on this. He will go in detail on what has been done. Already you have been exposed to it. So we would look at, you could see this as one of the very important options that you can have. I have personally looked to many and advised why you should do management paper. Seeing the segment of the students that we have, when you are in a level where you don't have much of authority with the budgets, when you do not have time to move across organization to organization, collecting research, studies, etc., but you have sufficient intelligence and sufficient authority to look at problems, this option is ideal because you will get a good theoretical understanding and then you can have certain sort of interviews or focus groups within the organization and then you can create something which is useful to the company. And this is very important because since you are running parallel, remember that you are running parallel of the coursework, you can use your time very well provided you have a very good option. Remember, it's not an easy option. It's an option where we will be really looking for how you have applied your knowledge again to present. And in this evaluation, if you are in a position to present your problem to the organization, solutions to the organization, you will be marked at the highest level, above 86. So that is one of the important areas in field project options. For you to get a higher grading as well in implementing. So both Sakuntala as well as Dr. Jafari would work on this. And you have project supervisors, and Ravi, Dr. Samantha and Shankar, all of them would be working with field projects as project supervisors. It's about 20-25 per each academy. So think carefully about this particular option and then see how feasible that you can work on a field project option. And the third option is, again the second one, what we have said is you refer to the field projects page 114, 116 and then have the option to look at where you can work first on a problem solving method. Now the third value creation is entrepreneurship. The entrepreneurship is very similar and almost as what we do in problem solving with skills project and people. What's the difference? The difference is it's a business case. You must have a business case for your entrepreneurship project, support with your literature, and you have sufficient knowledge and total entrepreneurship coursework in the MBA. Now there is one thing which I want to caution you. If you are trying to gradually build up, select a business case which has a business value. That means select a project which resolves a business problem to the customer. What happens if you don't? And don't select projects just like putting up a petty shop. Now, for example, there were some very good projects like what we have got. Sarakaka is one of the projects that have come out from entrepreneurship projects, which have been developed into a higher level. At the same time, we have projects like, I want to do some cupcake business. So you are doing some cupcakes. How am I going to do that? I'm going to do that at home. I get help from somebody else. How many cakes you will do? I'll do that in the weekends. And it's a very interesting entrepreneurship project. But it is not interesting to us anymore. Because when the cupcakes goes off, with the final project there are no cupcakes left. So don't come to that. We have tolerated this for more than 1 or 2 years. And definitely this year, if I am going to stand as a chair, I will not accept. Even if your supervisor accepts. I mean, Dr. Stampa is not here. I don't want any cupcakes. I don't want any online platform working because it will be online forever. Then you also have a nice, interesting project, the designer sarees. You design 1 or 2 sarees and bring the 2 sarees here. And the sarees are also gone, design also gone after the end of the day. With due respect to entrepreneurship, that's where we are focusing. Every MBA should be an entrepreneur, 1 in 5. I'm not criticizing entrepreneurship. I want you to be an entrepreneur. That's what we are focusing on. But I don't want to be a bogus entrepreneur who is coming to the vibe of entrepreneurship exists only for up to the vibe. We want to remove this culture from PIM, and I have been gradually doing that. But this year I now come to the final revision of processes. I gave this example. I can remember previously someone came, I have a business. So what's a business? So I Sarvatara. Koi dahan, gira dahan, koi dahan, pantry dahan, koi dukunan, gira dahan, koi kinyan mo idea, Sarvatara. You need the MBA to do Sarvatara? Is that what you have been learning now? On the contrary, we had another significantly good project. I am doing LCD repairs. Why? There's a business case. Most of the time, LCD TVs goes off and it's not repaired. They are thrown out. So there is a technology available in India where LCD repairs can be done, can be collected. He has a thriving business on that. He installed the business and he's doing all the LCD repairs. That's a clear business case. So don't go into small businesses and don't become someone in the Jatika Pado or in the Samde Pado. That's not the business case you are looking for. We want to know where did you use your MBA knowledge. How do you translate it? So we want it to be very clear, and then you have a good support of the Genesis, and Dr. Teisker is a very important person in entrepreneurship who will help you out. But be honest about it. What do you want to do? And you want to be an entrepreneur, we will guide you and help you. And we want PIM students to be entrepreneurs. So we have a complete paper checklist uploaded in order to see that you are on the right path. And also, in order to explain you further, there are 3 stages. Now, I cannot probably disagree with Dr. Travis and Dr. Stampal. Entrepreneurs is a simple idea, and that idea can fail. Agree. You have a business idea, and you can never say that the idea will run or not. That's a lean business model. My issue is this idea begins and it fails after you submit the project. That becomes a problem. So, but still, for the entrepreneurship idea, we have to respect it. So when we respect that, don't expect more than 65 marks. If you can, no problem. Short tail business. But you are asking for a profit and loss statement for 3 months. And that P&L must be certified by an accountant. And the Genesis will visit. We want to see your genuine business. Don't put billboards, don't cover it up and put across. Somewhere you will get into this problem of quality. So be honest about it. But if you think it's marginal, you won't get more than 60 to 65 marks. That's the level A. In the level B, when you have the entrepreneurship idea, now I am more important and I can really run this business, then obviously you will have temporary hands. That's the level B. So the business established and you are now hiring people. And that will carry you up to 70 and above. But still it will not go to the higher rate. But if you want to go 85 and above, I need a business where you can convert the revenue to at least 300,000 rupees a month and have permanent employees. Now this year for all projects we are putting these levels of achievement. It's same in the case of scale project, same in the case of fail project, same in the case of entrepreneurship project. So if you are a merit student, think twice before whether I can do entrepreneurship project, whether I can generate 300,000 rupee revenue and then attempt it. Please don't come after attempting, after doing the business. So I am a merit student, I need some marks and my business is not there. Then your merit also will not be there. That I can assure you. Because I cannot deviate from serious. The very reason why I am addressing you, it has been recorded and put across in the MBA 5 is this is a contract. The conditions which I speak today, I will defend to the very end. And I will not tolerate any deviation. It's not I am threatening to you or put, but I want to be absolutely clear what the projects are, what is expected, what must be done. But we will support you at the very least. What I don't support is when you really want to make some leverage, some excuses and go away. Please do it. The purpose of my 45 minutes address here is to make you believe what you should do. Make you understand that you need to really enjoy doing this, not to get you very frustrated in this work. Something which you like to do. So these are the three important options where you run a business and we want you to be entrepreneurs. The directors and the Dr. Tice has already put 1 in 5 to be an entrepreneur. But be clear what you want to do. So I am just getting you across into 3 different areas. I said the P&Ls written by Genesis and then complete pre-project checklist which is on the spaces over there. So I have summarized these 3 and you could also see these 3 options are very clear, close to each other. I will upload this into the file over there. You can see the introduction to the background of the project, organization and descriptions, then the theoretical framework, the broad study framework, the solution development, and then we in literature to business. All 3 projects will have similar, and they will also similar in clinical research as well. So the structure has been revised, renewed, and this is the final year on which I think we have finalized all the procedures of this. In previous year we are still going through tomorrow we start with the assessments, but I believe it will be much more better than previous year. Because there is a lot of commitment from the faculty last year. They have been here for 6 months, July to September. In fact, they were saying most of the time it's for the income. Please be with the faculty support. Because their time is very important to work out. So in summary, we have the 3 project options, MFP, MSP and ESP, all on value creation, all on business problem or business cases, all will be very significant to PIM as well as to the industry and requires project implementations or proposal implementations as well as business cases. And these 3 have been already introduced, but here I am only giving you the basic guidelines, what our processes, procedures based on that. And you will get a more detail as we go through one by one, basing on this outline. This outline remains same. That's the very purpose of it. So I will go into the next part. Now we are moving from value creation to knowledge translation. You can see 92% of our students will be on value creation. And we expect very few into the knowledge translation process. Why? Because they are more into the academic field. And they are more moving into the academia or trying to contribute knowledge to the existing body of knowledge. While we have the majority as a business school want to solve business problems and create values, equally important, we will also have to have an intellectual contribution which allows the universities to move forward and hence the knowledge translation. So I will not go into detail, but you could see the knowledge translation process will go in both ways. Now we are looking at this, how we are going to solve problems and then translate it to publications. That's where we go into publications. Now you have got the Sri Lankan Journal of Management, which is a publication based on this year as well and previous issues on what the students have done, what the knowledge they have gained, and therefore they are putting into the public domain on the solutions or how the research problems have been addressed through this process of research findings into this. So this we are looking at global knowledge, and more we put across our intellectual capital grows up and we get recognized with other universities across the world. This part is more on knowledge translation. How do we apply this knowledge to the industry, which is the part of the PIM research process. And we have this time we have introduced with PIMA, application of knowledge into industry. So that's another important area, but we are still beginning to work on that. And hence knowledge translation takes place by understanding the problems and then working through the theoretical gaps and adding to the existing body of knowledge. So who should attempt it? So basically, for the first time we have been putting across MRT, because for a management thesis, this MRT projects, that is 20 credits, is basically for probationary lecturers or lecturers in universities who requires confirmation in their work which a thesis required. It's only for them, not if you are a manager, not if you are in industry. So there were some who says, I want to do a PhD, I'm very interested in the research, can I do this, I'm desperate about this. Well, the advice is it's good for you to be, but the intensity that is required in the next 6 months, it's 9 months for this 40% by research option is too much. But if you still want to do a PhD, we should allow you to do it. Then we invite you to join the foundation course in the PhD, which is offered at a very lower fee. And with that, with the research project or with other projects like case studies or others, you could still work towards a PhD. So do not attempt to work towards this option if you are not a lecturer or a professional lecturer. And we give very particularly for the first time 40% by research MBA, which is for placement in other universities and to go for doctoral work. We did it last year and we are continuing it. And you will have 2 electives to be done. It will be Thursdays, which carries 4 credits. So even if you are a weekend student, you should be here every Thursday. That's what it requires. And if it is RM2, we'll be running, I'll go through the 2 electives separately. And RM1 is technically 1 and is technically 2. So we will give you in detail these things. Research methodology 1 begins in term 2. That's in April, which goes for 3 months, and it has again 100% evaluation on proposal, literature, and 60% on the concept paper, which is a must whether you are doing MRP or MRT. And also research methodology 2 begins in term 3 and goes to term 4. So this is covering about 20 workshops, and plus 10 workshops in research methodology 1, you are looking at 30 workshops in total. We are making it compulsory even for MRP students who are doing 15 credits must attend these 30 workshops. But you will be only asked to submit the concept paper and the empirical paper. Other options are not given. So think carefully of the research project option which you are taking and discuss with me. We have already put the research groups. If you are doing the MRP project, I will discuss that later. So these are the 2 compulsory RM1, RM2 for those who are taking thesis option. MRP also you need to come for all the workshops. Evaluations comes for 1 and 2. So I will have asked those who are doing MRT projects to meet me after tea. So I will discuss with them any clarifications on this. Then for MRP, this should be MRP, I made a mistake here. That is 15 credits. It still has a theoretical background till address and it should also end up in the publication accepted to a journal. That's a condition for both MRP and MRT projects. You must be present for both all workshops of RM1 and RM2. But you only ask 2 evaluations on that, the concept paper and the empirical paper. So there's hardly a difference in the two, but in the approach that you take would be slightly different, because that takes 15 credits. So this option I'll discuss in detail, because MRP option will have, you can meet your research and the faculty members of an area of research interest, and then in the first 3 months we will be looking at how to do the proposal. From 21st we will have the workshops for this for pre-submission of proposals. Other faculty members also may announce, I'll put it through the educative side, at least one workshop before submission of the proposal. As to help you, but for research there are 4 workshops. And both research and case studies, you need to submit a concept paper by March 15 in order to see whether we will accept you to proceed to a proposal, which is not in other options. Which means if you want to do a research or a case study, you should first tell us your concept paper by 15th of March, and if we think that you are feasible, we will accept, otherwise you have to go for another option. So management case study, it highlights a significant success or a failure of a business, it's a case, but the change here is like in previous year, we are looking at from a theoretical lens. How can I look from a very strong theoretical basis of the changes in a particular organization? Dr. Samantha would probably will go more in detail, use the qualitative methods, 10 interviews, 5 focus groups, and other secondary data. And remember, it's only individual. MRP, case studies, all of them are individual projects. There are no 2-member projects for this. And then unit of analysis second time, and not less than 3 years, and that's if a particular project itself. And basically, I would advise those who are interested in research can look at the case study option, MRP option, and then go to the MRP option. MRP is of course restricted, but MRP and MR case studies are more on research focused, and they are on knowledge translation focused. So you would also have a difference here in the case of research projects. All MRP and MRT projects are subject to acceptance of your paper in the journal. That means the research project is evaluated only when you submit a journal paper. And you have seen that journal papers in the Sri Lankan Journal of Management. So before the student comes to Viva, the student submits a journal paper to a panel, and the panel evaluates and gives a range of marks. So that's the range that's given here. If the paper is not accepted without any change, is 95 and above, it has never happened, and it will never happen again, will never happen as well. We will always ask for a change, and the change will be between 81 to 94. Major change, you will be going below 71 to 80, not accepted, you fail. So the change is the management research projects and thesis projects are evaluated on the basis of a journal paper. So that must be kept in mind. And again, the comparison of the 3 projects, you can see all 3 projects are individual. Number of workshops, many are 2022, and Dr. Samantha may have changes in the workshop schedule, but there will be minimum 12 workshops in that. I have also given the sample requirement against each of these, so we'll discuss with the MRP, MRT students whether you are interested, whether you have a sample, whether you have the adequacy to do it, and then the outputs are given, journal paper as an output of the case study as a proposal manager or a conference paper, and the evaluations are based on that. So this sums up basically the projects based on knowledge translation and projects on value creation. And one thing which I noted in the beginning is industry survey or the management case study survey option is only for based on a faculty proposal. You need to have minimum 1,000 in the sample. Do not get confused with research projects. There are field projects, there are 1,000 in the sample, supported elective, and do not go and agree for the project unless you are able to do it. The project proposal comes from the faculty. The last time I do a clear example, there were 3 students who wanted to do the survey project on business failure or how the small business works in the industry. That's the project we have. Mr. Ravi and Mr. Champal and Dr. was doing this across. The student initially said they can even have 2,000 in the sample. I was very skeptical about it. How can you go to 2,000 or 1,000 in a sample on a small business? How can you reach these businessmen? Because they will give information. But then they were very strong. He said, yes, I can do, yes, I can do. There's a way that if you want to elope with somebody, and if the parents say, oh, but you will get into difficulty. But they wanted to go with that, now they are in difficulty. So I can only sympathize with them, like the parents do. So that's only that. So you come to a point where now you can't even submit a bill. Be very obsessed, very specific. Can I do this? There are so many things you like to do, but all that we like to do cannot be done. So first attempt of yours must be, how do we get out of this place? Therefore, select the option what is feasible for you, not the option which you like to do. I want to do a research, I want to have a doctorate. Then that is good. I am not discouraged. You may say that I have totally discouraged you from research. Definitely you go and tell that to the director. I said, yes, I did that. I did that for their own good. If you really want to do it, come and do it with us. But if you can't, then do it. But we give another option for you to do. And the very purpose of this address is to see the significance of this project, why they are important, and how you should select your option. Not to discourage you at all. You would like you. Because I would say that even previous year, only 30% submitted the projects on time. We are starting on 20. And they are all field projects and skill projects. Nobody submitted, MC also we did not. Nobody submitted for MCS or MRP. No one. Even though I am supervising them also. So they may ask me, what are you doing? I have also done whatever I can. What can I do? It's all up to them. Some of them are forced to do it because they are, any case lecturer, they have no choice. So there are two lecturers who are coming now from 3 years ago also. And hopefully I think we can just get them past this year. So you can see we cannot put down our requirements under any circumstances. We want not take it down. That we are for. So we will encourage you, we will support you. We have done about 2022 workshops. Dr. Samantha has been here for more than 14, 15 workshops. Not submitted. But at the very beginning they say, so I want to do a case study. I am very interested. I am very good. This is something brilliant for me. That's the same example I can give. It's nothing else I can. So commit suicide. Sometimes you can't do anything else. No? So if you are not convinced, I can't help it. Okay. So these are 3 across over there. Now we move into another section of business on CSR projects. PIM is involved in very important set of corporate social responsibility projects. There are 2 important projects that are going in. One, for 7 years we have been doing and developing a remote school in productivity development or productivity improvement, which is based on productivity improvement criteria given by the National Productivity Award. We expect them to get 800 to 900 marks and the school should win the award or at least should get a merit certificate. There are 4 schools who have won the merit certificates up to last year. And your task is go to a remote school, start from the beginning, bring them up to the level of productivity award. This is the challenge you can take, but it requires much more than doing a project. So I will explain that. The second one is one we developed recently, is now running for the 2nd year, a community development project. It's on a theme, the village, the school, and the temple. Based on the previous historic theme of the Dagaba, the village, the concept on that, which went across over there. We redeveloped it to see whether we can integrate the village to the school and take in both the village and the temple to the school. So explaining these 2 projects, this is the CSR project you can see. We have so many tasks to do. In first understanding the context of the school development in the preschool, basically up to the year 5 years or 11. You have to select the school with the help of the productivity secretariat who locate schools in the remote areas for you. And then you have to go into different productivity segments of improving productivity. There are 8 segments given under the productivity criteria. So you should be very comprehensive about productivity What are our criteria? So operation management, the techniques, Kaizen, problem solving, and more important, you should be able to travel. Now these students are traveling to sometimes in Mathugama, the current area is in Mathugama. We have about 6 schools. The site on the CSR projects available in the PM site. I just got few photographs of this for you to see the activities, the amount of budget. PM gives a budget of 300,000. And this Sakuntala will be supporting the students, and then students themselves raise funds. I think not this year, previous year we have raised about 1 million in their funds to take across. It's a very strong CSR initiative in trying to uplift a remote school, which should have at least 40% of some of the beneficiaries. These are for people who really value society, who get motivated by such this. You have to travel a lot every weekend, and getting across your time, so it should be very carefully selected whether you want to be in that. Your satisfaction comes not only from the project, but by serving the community. That's true for both community as well as CSR projects. Community development project is based on a model we developed. I think Saravi and myself working on this. We are looking at how the school, community and temple can contribute to social development. We have selected a particular village in a very remote village, Paregama in Mathugama. Nearly 30-40% are drug addicts, 40% to 50% people are some of the beneficiaries. Only have one school there. It's also not been fully developed. So the basic task was first building the people, building entrepreneurs. So they go and then build entrepreneurs. We have already done about this year around 6 or 7, previous year 5. So those entrepreneurs development are from the families from the school. There are 99 families in the school, and we are already done with 10 of them. And then we get them engaged to work with the school, and then we get the temple to work with the school, and we see whether the particular village can be developed. It's very similar to the Amudava project, but we are not in such an excited mode of doing that. But we want to develop that village and take this across, and it's a research project as well, both myself and Ravi is doing, how social changes can influence particular changes in the society. These are drivers. These could be developed as a model. So there's a research interest in us as well. But the students are doing it in how best they do it. And you can see these 3 projects gives 3 different areas, how they integrate with the school, how they do the livelihood development, how they take into the temple, and then the current project goes everyone going into the Hampasala, what we do. So it's something which you are interested, and you are more social level, and maybe that you want to go to the next election now after about 5 years. You want to be that mood, go and look at very exaggerated when the people say, I won and all that over there. That's something which you get in addition, and I think our students are well respected in that village. Saravi has gone once or twice, so you get exposed to your publicity, and come and meet us and see whether we can have a chat with us, both Saravi and myself, whether you want to go in such level of projects. But before that, study whether that will help you. The third one is a Genesis, that is a part of the Entrepreneurship Skills Project, where 2 students will be requested to work with Dr. Kaish and Mr. Champa in trying to support or look at the key task of the entrepreneurship project, but they have to and they must do develop 5 entrepreneurs from the previous project. That is their people, students who have done, how they can sustain. So these 3 I think I have given basically a summary of what has happened. I have given value creation is based on field project and entrepreneurship projects. And the knowledge translation is from case studies as well as research projects. And I have given you the conditions for each of these. Very details available in the volume 6 of your guidelines, which will be revised some of the chapters across. But those are the 2. And then you also have option only for 2 students each, that's 4 students, to go in for social responsible projects. Then if you look at key deadlines, which is very important, you must submit by 20th April, and for to get the confirmation of the approval. Research, skill and case studies requires a concept paper before 15th March, and please be on NBA 519 site. I know you are not in sites, you have never been used to from the day you came here. The only site you know is Kumar's site. you come there, I don't know, give us that's no problem. So you go to the classroom and say that. So please deviate from that practice at least for MBA 519. I have no way of addressing you, but I'll be sending you an email. So that's my hobby. Keep reminding, sending an email across, putting over there. But I do with a purpose, knowing that someday I'm going to use that as a powerful weapon to answer you. So each mail will have some sort of underlying aim as well. So all the sites will tell when we are. I will also request from Mr. Mukada and Dr. Samant has given March 2nd. Dr. Dan would probably tell you another date for proposals. You cannot transfer from projects after 30th June, but after submission of a please avoid this option. When you submit a proposal by 20th April, by May 30th, the confirmation will come whether you are accepted to that particular option or not. If you are not accepted, then your next option would be to move into another project. Can be field project, can be any other project. But then you cannot do any more transfers after 30th June because Dr. Gan would start on the field projects as well as on the MSP projects by Sakuntala strictly by 30th June. No transfers are possible. That's a procedure we adopted very well last year and it's been proceeding across. You could also see that the two elective courses starts on term 2 for MRT and MRT and 3 and 4 for second term. And your submission of project elective I already announced is 31st 2020. And again I am cautioning you, if you are not present for the first term of the projects July to July to September, you are not permitted to submit by 31st December. A very firm deadline. And the director would have also informed you that you have to submit your maximum extension is 8 weeks. That's 29th February. So don't think, this is a question no problem. Try and see, but no extensions. That happens from this year, then you go with the next batch. And then also say that 2-member groups are allowed for ESP, and you may question why not. There are two reasons behind that. Firstly, we are becoming increasingly procedurally sound in our processes. 2 members means 30 credits, and it's very difficult to meet a 30 credit requirement because 20 credit is the highest in a thesis. So when 2 members do 30 credits, and we finally get into a problem when 1 member says, my partner is now abroad, can other partner do it in the beginning? So it's a difficult problem over there. We just can't allow it to happen because we find it very difficult people not working together. That's one. Second, the amount of time required and the collaboration required. There are frequent complaints, other parties not working. Only I am working. So taking all the consideration, we have 49 in skills project, field project, thesis projects and MRP projects, and we will not have MCS also as 2-member groups. It's 1 member, and we like to talk to you on that one-to-one and have it. So you are the sole person who is responsible for your work and your delivery of the work. But for ESP projects, technically we will, because we cannot deny if somebody says we want to have a 2-member group, I want to register, but then both of them should have a joint business registration, which is a must. So that's a core after this thing. So therefore 2 members are allowed for ESP, and the Viva will begin on 3rd week of January 2021. We are starting tomorrow for the 2017-18 batch. So 2017-18 batch we are starting. So the dates are very streamlined and we focus on this now. So basically what I want to look at is before making any, especially for merit students, select the right option, what you want to do. And, my advice to you is phase out your work in the next 1 year. Term 1, selecting the right project, doing the right proposal. And you live with that project. Then this will not be a harassment. You'll enjoy what you want to do. How can I make use of what I learned in my MBA? That's the core. If this is not an assignment, that attitude must change. I can see you submitting assignments. That you know, because some of your assignments with respect to my faculty may not have been corrected or hard integrity. In that case, don't worry, we'll be looking at, and then even after you submit, I'll be personally going through again, and Dr. Sakuntala goes through if it is above 86. So there's no escape to it. Even if you submit, you'll be asked to redo the whole thing, and marks will not be released. So your choice, whether you do it right first time or keep doing it as long as you like. We don't mind. I won't sign because a chair will not sign until the final project is seen and submitted. So therefore, if you have any thinking this is an assignment, it is not. Then how do I enjoy this? This is a real frustration to us. This is not what we paid for, you may say. Having this, we can't do it. You will enjoy it provided you resolve the problem which is close to you in your organization or something which is significant to your future and investment. So try and look at the project as something which you enjoy. That will help your supervisors. And this time our faculty has been very committed. In fact, the number of hours they have spent, no university ever gives so much of faculty time. Even today they are here in the morning, they don't have to be here at 8:30. In fact, I changed last evening from 8 to 8:30. I'm thinking myself, somebody will curse me and come at 8:30. So therefore I sent a proposal back at 8 to 8:30 and informed them, knowing that you don't see the value of it coming on here. So select the problem properly and see it as a final project and take it as a guide to carry deliver. That's one way that probably you can enjoy what you are doing. So what I have said so far has been very brief. I have given the project option in line with the director's address, but now you have got a very overall idea of what these projects are. We have on value creation projects for MSP, MFP and ESP, where we add value to the organization or to the business or so therefore my focus is on that. Other one is I am on a knowledge translation process and using research and contribute to the knowledge. And thirdly, I am on a social recognition or social development project for CSR. These are the options that is available to you. What is the best option for me? What option I can do within the difficulties I have? And that option may not be the option that you will like to do. Most of you will end up not marrying whom you wanted to marry. You marry somebody else you don't want to marry. But then you still have a good marriage life. So projects are something like that. Do it in that way. I don't know. That's the advice I can give. I am not trying to accelerate on this. I want you to convert. We do not want this, say this slide to appear again for the next set of people when I address in the 2021, if I am here, I don't know. But if it is so, this slide should not reappear as a part of the introduction to what I did to you all. This is what we want to stop happening. This should not appear. We don't want people redoing. We don't want people having less than 85% to such a low score. We don't want someone failing and then rewriting and then getting marginal marks. That's not what it is about. This reflects poorly on what we have done for 2 years. If you are getting a marginal pass of 30%, I don't think you are giving due respect or credit to the academic staff who did work with you for 2 years. This slide must change. And it can only change if you change. And you will change only if you change from submitting an assignment to doing a project using the knowledge gained in the evening. How to use it was all up to you. So I have given the way what to do, and I think my colleagues will give you the next set of processes. And this site is open. You have consultation with me once a month. You can consult me on Tuesdays, give the consultation time, but your supervisors will be working right through, and we will guide you and we will help you. And I hope all of you will succeed. And I will not answer any questions because your supervisors will be there to bring to work, and I'm just on time to hand it over to someone. So thank you very much, and we shall see you in the when you present your Bible. Good luck.